All right. So, Kev, it's time for the trading couch.
The trading couch. Yep. So is it my turn to get on the couch?
Yeah, you're on the couch, buddy. So, what do you want to talk about?
Let me get comfortable here. Well, I think what I'd like to talk about today is the tendency of people to get married to a position and just dig their heels in.
Right.
And I see it all the time with kind of people, let's just call them fin-twit stars that go and they take a position, whether it be long the dollar, short the dollar, or long, the stock market or short the stock market. And they get married to a position, and it ends up being very difficult for them to turn around and admit that they were wrong, because it's not only are they admitting them to themselves that they're wrong, but they have to admit to the rest of the world. And I just would like to kind of emphasize that there's nothing worse than getting married to a position and sticking with that position and not admitting you're wrong, because ultimately in the long run, you're only hurting yourself. And if you think about what some of the greatest traders have in common, whether it be Druckenmiller or Soros, they all had the ability to admit they were wrong and flip and go the
Yeah.
other way.
Oh, for sure.
And
Or not even just flip the other way, just get out.
yeah,
This is not where it's that whole idea of you're gonna go down with the Titanic. It's like either A, you can jump into the lifeboat and you're gonna live to fight another day, or you're gonna just go down with the ship and you're done.
right. And I think it's really, really important as we're running higher here in the stock market, and you're getting some people that have been bearish the whole way that are just doubling down and tripling down on their bearishness. And I'm not trying to say that you should go out and chase the stock market. But what I am saying is that, if you sit there and just kind of fight things to the point where it's going against you and it's costing you mental capital and and it's consuming you, and it ends up being that's all you find, that you're staring at your P&L, and it's like every single day all you're doing is screaming about how irrational the market is, then you should step back and rethink your positions.
Right.
Even if you think that the stock market is irrational and is overpriced, it's one thing to think that, and to think that it doesn't make sense from a long perspective. It doesn't make sense to take that bet, but it doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to go down, because as we both know, things get even more irrational and can be even more overpriced. And as we get these kind of extremes, I just like to remind myself, and I'm guilty of this too, Patrick. I find that if I have a position on, I too often will try to justify my thinking based upon that position. And I have a good story to tell you about Soros. Soros used to phone up Goldman Sachs on a Friday afternoon and ask them for a bid on his entire portfolio.
Yeah.
And he used to zero it on Friday afternoon. So he'd just phone up, he'd fax them, because this was way back when. He'd fax them their portfolio. They would bid on it. And then come Monday, he would start with all of his positions over again. And one of the things that enables you to do is actually pick stocks or pick positions that you truly believe in, because you're starting a portfolio from scratch, as opposed to you're wedded to a position because you've had it on for so long, or you just can't bear to take the loss on it. And I think that's an important thing to remember. It's something that I forget too often, and I always think that I would be wise to take Soros's advice and flatten every now and then, and just start from scratch with a fresh mind. And if you find yourself kind of drowning in an emotional sea of worry or kind of anxiety
Flatten
about your position,
positions.
just flatten it.
And it's like you go back to the optionsellers.com story, or even that story of long-term capital and things like that. When what's always amazing is that once you're down, let's say 50% on your position, and your whole portfolio value is down 50%, you enter a psychological death loop of an all or nothing trade at that moment. At that stage, cutting a loss is just too emotionally difficult that you're willing to go down with the ship, and then the market's going to just separate you from everything. Like
Yeah.
it's you can't ever let a position go out of control that way. And this is where, I personally find using options as hedging a valuable tool for me, having my risk controls. But everyone has their own version. Some people use stop losses, some people size their trades differently, but everyone needs to discover their own way of knowing how you're going to get out of a position, right?
Yeah. So for me, by the way, I find if I'm worried about a position, the real answer is to have it. And if I'm still worried about it, I have it again, and I just keep having it till I'm thinking straight again. And I find that's worked for me in the past. And I think about the times that I've ignored that and thought, oh, it'll come around or something. Those are my biggest errors and my biggest losses. So
Yeah.
anyways, that's it. That's my kind of Dr. Serezna. That's all I want to talk about today.
Well, it'll be my turn on the couch next time, all right, buddy?
Okay, sounds good.